Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I am trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it. I upload daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. So today, in yet another installment of Hot Takes, I decided I would talk about some stuff going into this offseason, keeping the focus on stuff going into this offseason, so let's just jump right into it. I just quoted Philip DeFranco.
Saved! Absolutely incredibly with the acrobatic alley-oop!
The Mavs should try and sign Fred VanVleet to provide Luka with a bit of help in playmaking. See, the thing is, I agree that the Mavericks do need to get a point guard to play alongside Luka to help Luka play off ball and make it to where Luka isn't the only one creating offense. However, it would be dumb on the Mavericks' part to sign Fred VanVleet to the amount of money that Fred VanVleet is worth when they're going to be trying to get Giannis in 2021. You don't want to miss out on Giannis because you wanted Fred VanVleet. Even if I do believe that is a good basketball move in the short term, in the long term, you want that cap space for Giannis. If the salary cap didn't exist, I would take Blake Griffin over Pascal going into next year, and I really don't think it's close. Well, I don't think it's a matter of salary as much as it is about health. If Blake Griffin is fully healthy, he is better than Pascal Siakam. I don't even think that's a question at all. Unfortunately, though, Blake is constantly injured. The last season he was healthy was like the best season of his career in Detroit. He shot 7 threes a game on like 37%. Like, he completely turned his game around. But unfortunately, he just got hurt, and he has not been able to remain healthy since. So Blake Griffin at his peak is definitely better than Pascal Siakam, but unfortunately Blake Griffin is not at his peak, and he's constantly injured. So yeah. Tobias Harris is the one that needs to be traded of the two overpaid Philly free agent signings. Al Horford's willingness to chuck up catch and shoot threes makes him fit better next to Simmons and Embiid, even if he scores less. You got that completely backwards, dude. While definitely Al Horford is more content taking less shots and he's a better defensive player, it's a matter of fit. And just because Al Horford is content playing his role more so than Tobias Harris does not mean he is better for the team, because Tobias Harris is perfectly fine taking catch and shoot threes too, and he is A, better at them, and B, not a fucking center. So no, Al Horford is the one who should be traded, not to mention it's probably easier to trade Al Horford than Tobias Harris, because at least Al's only making like $25 million, not $35. So no, Al Horford is the one who should be traded from Philadelphia if it's even possible. The Bulls should trade for Ben Simmons. I think I'm wording this one a little bit different in the title to where the Sixers should trade him to the Bulls or whatever, but I would love for the Bulls to trade for Ben Simmons, and I would trade just about everything we have for him. I would move Zach, I would move the number 4 pick, and I'd probably throw in like Chandler Hutchinson on top of it. However, the Sixers are not going to do that unless they're stupid, because Ben Simmons is very valuable, and you can get more for Ben Simmons than Zach LaVine and the number 4 pick in the draft. That's just the reality of it. And to me, I used to be anti-Ben Simmons, and now I am very pro-Ben Simmons, to the point where I'm honestly of the opinion that Joel Embiid should be the one that's traded, not Ben Simmons. So for that reason, I would love the Bulls to trade for Ben Simmons, but the Sixers would not do this. Unless the Bulls just completely overhauled, which I wouldn't want. I'd like them to hold on to Markkanen and Wendell and preferably Kobe if they're making that trade, just so there's some semblance of a team around him. But Zach, number 4, any other young player on the team, maybe even Kobe, I'm not entirely against that. I would do that for Ben Simmons. Unfortunately, however, I don't think the Sixers would, and in their shoes, I wouldn't. So yes, the Bulls should trade for him. No, the Bulls can't trade for him. That doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. AD has jumped up to the 6th to 5th best player in the NBA. Well, I believe I already had him at 6 after James Harden, and this is without Kevin Durant in that conversation because we don't know where Kevin Durant is right now. So, yeah, I agree. I'm putting Anthony Davis over James Harden after these playoffs. I keep giving James Harden kind of a benefit of a doubt, even though I've been critical of him in the past and his game, but I give him the benefit of the doubt because I know how talented he is, but he keeps disappointing over and over and over again to the point where I just can't keep doing it. So Anthony Davis has overtaken James Harden for me in the best players in the league ranking. The Bulls should trade for Chris Paul. Now, this is a more realistic one. I think pretty much straight up the number 4 pick and Otto Porter Jr. And then I think you also have to include Cristiano Felicio for the contract. Like those 2 contracts, the number 4 pick, maybe a future first round pick as well that's like protected. I think that's enough to get you Chris Paul, and I would do that because I don't think anyone at number 4 is going to be that great unless the Bulls have the prospect of trading up, in which case I'd rather trade up for an Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball rather than trading for Chris Paul. But if that's not an option, I would most certainly be comfortable trading for Chris Paul because I have had my perspective shifted quite a bit from both the success of the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Wow! Oklahoma City Thunder. I can't talk. From the success of the Miami Heat and the OKC Thunder. They had a lot of success from their culture more so than their talent, and I really value culture now more than ever, especially because the Bulls had none. So, because of that, I would like to trade for Chris Paul because I think he would bring that culture to Chicago, and it's why I'm also in favor, not for Chris, but in the position of the New York Knicks, I would trade for Chris Paul because I think his culture the culture he's bringing is going to shift that franchise in a better direction, even if in the long term he's not going to be there because he's old. But I think it's worth the culture shift that he'll bring. He's going to have a huge impact on Kobe White and Zach LaVine and really anybody else on the team. So yeah, I would trade for Chris Paul. Just a matter of if the Thunder would do it. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are not a bad fit together. The fact the Sixers took away good pieces and added bad ones is what hurt more. Well, I won't argue with the second half of that statement because the Sixers undoubtedly took good-fitting pieces and replaces them with poor-fitting pieces. However, it is still true that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid is a poor fit just from the simple fact that Ben Simmons cannot shoot the ball. And the thing is, Ben Simmons can be a very impactful player without being able to shoot. Joel Embiid, also same case because he's not really a good shooter either, even though he takes them sometimes. But unfortunately, when you're trying to run a pick and roll, which is something you want to do when you have a player at the talent level of Joel Embiid combined with the passing level talent of Ben Simmons, you want to be able to run a pick and roll. However, you can't do that with these two because every defender is just going to drop and there's no way Joel Embiid is going to get any space on the roll. Every time, Ben Simmons is just going to be left wide open and his defender is just going to go help on Embiid in the paint. And outside of just the pick and roll, Ben Simmons' defender is going to go help on Joel Embiid in the paint because Ben Simmons is not effective without the ball, and it's for that reason he's not effective without the ball on a team that's not surrounded by shooters, that is. So having two non-shooters as your duo is just not really a good idea in 2020, and for that reason, it is a bad fit. And I think it's possible to win with these two as your two best players despite that poor fit, but the rest of the roster really has to be perfect, and that obviously has not been the case in Philadelphia thus far. From the boy who's editing this video, Rudy St. Clair. The team that will win the 2020 offseason will be the one saving cap room for the 2021 class. And that is completely accurate. That is why I made the point earlier with the Dallas Mavericks for that first hot take, because unfortunately, this year's draft class is kind of sucking ass. If Fred VanVleet is one of the top 5 players in your free agency class sucks. So for that reason, yes, teams should be saving up for 2021 rather than going on a spending spree on a bunch of mediocre free agents this year. So yes, that's the right take. And for the most part, that's what most teams are trying to do. Most teams that are at least in a position to sign a star level player. That's why you won't see the Dallas Mavericks or the Miami Heat making any big splashes in free agency. If they sign anybody to a deal, it's going to be a one-year deal most likely. The Wizards should sign DeMarcus Cousins in a cheap deal and try it out with Wall and Beal. Hey, nice rhyme there. If it doesn't work, just blow it up. They can get into the playoffs. I agree. If there's one team in the league that I want to see take a chance on DeMarcus Cousins, it is definitely the Washington Wizards, as he has that chemistry with John Wall, and if he can come back and be pretty healthy, the Wizards would be a pretty damn good team with those three. along with Davis Bertans as well. So, yeah, I would definitely give that one a shot. The Bulls should trade Zach LaVine for DeMar DeRozan and probably a protected first, just for the sake of making the playoffs this year. Draft Denny and raise the stock for Kobe and Lowry by giving them heavy minutes, and then trade those two later on. So I almost threw up and then committed suicide when I read this take. This is the most abysmal suggestion that I have seen in the history of sports. Okay, maybe not that, but it's up there. Fuck no. Fuck all of that. Fuck everything about anything in this tweet. First of all, trade Zach LaVine for DeMar DeRozan so that you can make the playoffs. But it says just for the sake of making the playoffs this year. Why the fuck do I care about making an 8th seed with DeMar DeRozan? Why would I care about that? At the end of the day, the team's going nowhere if that's the direction they're heading in. Even if they get an 8th seed or a 7th seed or a fucking 5th seed, I don't care. That really is just the worst. Zach LaVine is better than DeMar DeRozan, or at the very least, they're on a similar level, simply from the fact that Zach LaVine shoots threes. And that alone, yes, makes him better than DeMar DeRozan because he can do everything else that DeMar can do besides for the mid-range shooting. Pretty comparable playmaker, pretty comparable rebounder, worse defender, but not by a huge margin. Pretty much the same level of slasher, just as good of an athlete, just as getting into the basket, and he shoots threes instead of mid-range shots. I am taking that player over DeMar DeRozan every day of the week. Not to mention the fact that he is younger, on a 2-year deal rather than a 1-year deal, and God, why do I even have to explain this? I shouldn't. Drafting Denny is fine, but there's no reason why Denny wouldn't work with Zach LaVine. In fact, he'd work better than with DeMar DeRozan because Zach LaVine can space the floor. And why would you do this to develop Kobe and Lowry, give them heavy minutes just to trade the two? So is the point just to make players better and then trade them for other players constantly? This isn't my GM or my league. Just, oh man, that one really, I hate that. But yeah, fuck. Anyways, shout out to Rudy for editing this video. His link is going to be in the description. If you want to support this content outside of just your like and subscription, I have a Patreon where you can go give me some money for some extra content. There's going to be a documentary on this channel in like a day or two, so stay tuned for that. Go check out my film channel. It is very close to 5,000 subscribers, so I'd appreciate it if you went and subscribed over there. But yeah, that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.